Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one-stop podcast for students, professionals, parents and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance and career mentoring. Please welcome your host Dr. S.B. Mishra to the show and happy listening.
Hello and welcome to another episode on India Career Center podcast and YouTube channel. This is episode number 34. Let me give a context to today's subject. Why study management? As per the India Skill Report 2022, the MBAs command very high employability in India, just behind engineering graduates at around 55-56%. So very clearly taking up management studies in India is definitely a safe bet for young students graduating from 12th grade or undergraduate courses. We are in a very volatile VUCA world and need to keep a tab on changing scenarios in every field. So to learn more about the latest in the management studies, I'm joined by a very distinguished guest today, Professor Selvaraj Vadivelu from the TAPMI Management Institute. Professor, thank you and welcome to this podcast. Thank you for giving your time to be with us today. As a part of the introduction, I would request you to tell our viewers about your journey so far.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. It's a pleasure to be in your session. Just to introduce myself, I am an engineer, electronics and communication engineer, and I was initially with ISRO Satellite Center for a decade, doing some development of hardware for spacecrafts. And subsequently, I got interested in multimedia and data compression and so on. And then I moved into a company called Saskin Technologies, which was specializing in this. I was in this company for a couple of decades. In the first part of my career with Saskin, I had done several engineering roles and then engineering management roles. And then eventually, I moved on to do some corporate roles in the same company for a decade. And while doing these corporate roles, I got interested in management education, and specifically, I wanted to focus on management education as a career option as well a little later. And that's where I got interested to do my FPM program from IIM Indore. And that led to my switch over to an academic career very recently in the last 1.5 years with TAPMI. So that's where I am today. Currently in my role with TAPMI, I'm the professor and area chair for IS technology area. And I teach courses on various areas of management, specifically focused on technology and its application and into gaining business benefits. So that's where I am. I am also the co-chair for the placement and corporate engagement cell of TAPMI. And in that capacity, I have the opportunity to interact with corporates in terms of understanding their requirements and then figuring out what kind of career options the MBA graduate should choose and so on. So with these perspectives, I think I may be able to add some value to the discussion here.
Fantastic. So welcome, Professor, once again to this podcast. I'm sure a lot of our young listeners who are students or their parents will definitely get a lot of good sense about this particular subject. I think by and large, people all understand that management studies do add value, but I think today we'll get a slightly deeper understanding about the subject with more data points. I'm sure Professor will be sharing with us during the conversation. To start our conversation, Professor, let us know How many colleges or universities are currently providing the management study education in India?
Okay, we have come a long way. Actually, the first management institute was set up in India somewhere in the 50s, 1954 to be very precise. And from there, we have come a long way. And somewhere down the line, the I am Ahmedabad and I am Calcutta. In fact, I am Calcutta was set up a little earlier than I am Ahmedabad. And then followed by the various institutes. XLRI was set up in the 60s, and then in the 70s and 80s, more and more premier institutes have been set up. And there has been a steady growth in the management schools in the country. And today we are somewhere around 3,000 odd management institutes. That's the current number according to the information available in the AICTE website. And with an intake of about 4 lakhs plus students every year. And so that's the order of magnitude of management education today.
Okay, so you mentioned that in those 3,000 odd institutions, about close to about 4 lakh students are getting enrolled every year. So is there a understanding of how many of them are actually graduating out every year, and how many of them are actually getting absorbed into a management specialization in the industry? I mean, obviously, as per the India Skill Report 2022, around 55% of the management graduates are employable. Obviously, that is based on the survey. That really is just a survey of whatever they have done. But I think it might be a clear indication. So, is there a ballpark understanding of what could be the level of absorption in the industry?
Yeah, I think the way we can address this question would be to look at it from multiple dimensions. See, one dimension is finally it depends on the individual. The degree can only do this much. So the same thing is being talked about for engineering profession as well, right?
Yeah.
So we have, as you said rightly, the employability percentage is somewhere in the 50s for engineering as well. That's the data. Having said this, I'm sure that very quickly people do get into some job and do their, do make a living. I'm going very basic in this answer. So there is a wide spectrum of roles that are available and the salary levels at which these roles are available. So people will get absorbed depending on their abilities, skills, and their prior experience. Especially when we talk about management, the prior experience becomes very critical. So there could be a difference in the role that is offered or the salary that is offered based on that experience as well. So the skills and the experience do make a difference in terms of the options that are available. So coming specifically to your question, yes, you already said that there is this employability score of 50% or 50% odd number. Now, if you break it down very at a low level, right? Any job, if you see what is needed to be able to perform that job, is about these employability skills, which is I've even written this in my blog. The employability skills are very common across various roles and various professions itself. The professional skills are what differentiates between different professions and different roles. But the core employability skills, skills like communication, working with a team, being having self-driven skills, having the attitude to learn. These kind of skills are very common for all kinds of jobs. So if people are good in all of this, and adding to that the MBA or management degrees, I'm using specifically talking about degrees, but there are very many other management courses as well. Maybe we have to talk about it at some point in time later. So these the professional skills for management is what is the specific add-in that is being done in the MBA kind of program. So the absorption will be depending on how much students have been able to grasp this and how much the core skills, that is the core employability skills. Because one of the things that I mentioned is learnability, and that's what, as you mentioned, it's a VUCA world and all that. So we cannot anticipate what is the kind of job that is going to be there in future. That's also being written in various reports and articles. So given all this, it is only this much that an institute can prepare students for future jobs. So the placement is there. Most of the schools, like for example, I can talk about TAPMI, wherein we have 100% placements. I'm sure many top schools will have similar record. And the salary range again varies depending on the experience. And
Okay. Yeah, I think I think put it nicely. Uh, while the formal education will give what is required as per the curriculum, but what is in addition required today is also the core 21st century skills. I think those are also equally important when it comes to being employable in a given scenario, because the competition obviously is fairly good. If 4 lakh plus children are getting enrolled every year into the management studies, obviously uh, everybody will have to fight for their own place in terms of the industry placement. So, and you rightly mentioned, I think good institutions, for example, TAPI or all other top 200 institutions, by and large, will have a decent placement. Many of them must be commanding more than 100% placement. So I think this is an important takeaway from this conversation. Now, moving on, some 20 years ago, I did my MBA. So at that point of time, the specializations were very simple and basic. I think 4 broad specializations were there. Even today, they are there. But how do you see the sectoral impact of today is actually impacting the choice of courses, and what do you see is the current demand and what are trending for future as you see it from the current point of view?
yeah. So coming to this functional specialization versus sector, both these terms you introduced. So today, I mean, it's not today. In general, in organizations, there are specific functions like, for example, HR, finance, and functions, marketing, so on. But there are core business processes which cut across these functions. And these business processes are not specific to a particular function. So, in general, to play a managerial role, we need to cut across various specializations and then perform the role. So, a business has to see it as business process rather than a specific function. So, from that perspective, even though individuals might specialize or they might have an orientation towards a certain function, they have to be able to work across functions. That is a given. And the processes need that, business processes need that, and the underlying tools and techniques are also cutting across specializations, so functional boundaries. So this is a given. And so it would be more appropriate to maybe talk about the sectors in which people are getting absorbed today, right? And if you see, there are various other trends that have happened over the last couple of decades, maybe, which is in terms of big time computerization, then you can say digitalization, digital transformation. I mean, all these things are happening as we speak. And more recently, you have analytics, and then very recently, it is about this chat GPT and things that it can do. People are even we are not even able to sit and think what these technologies are going to do and how they are going to impact the way organizations are going to function. Now, in this kind of a situation, maybe we can talk about the current patterns, which at least based on my experience and exposure, I can talk about. Because of all these technology orientation, there is a lot of options for management graduates to do consulting. And consulting, again, it spans across the various types of consulting, starting from general management to very niche functional consulting. And somewhere in this, the big blob seems to be touching the tech consulting, which almost all functional areas need underlying information systems, and those systems are going through transformation in terms of new technologies enabling them to do efficiently, effectively. So that seems to be grabbing a lot of attention. So people, invariably all functional managers need to have a bent of technology orientation and be able to appreciate technology and leverage it for the business benefits. So that's something which is given. So consulting as a big blob, and specifically as a tech consulting, seems to be one big area. Another related area is tech influence on banking, financial services sector. So BFSI is another big area wherein a lot of roles are available and people are being absorbed there. Conventional sectors like FMCG operations, manufacturing, those are anyways given, and there are options available there. But what is also at least seem to be happening, this is my own personal view, is that because of this business processes being touched by technology, maybe many roles are moving or being called as maybe consulting or something like that, but actually it could be a function from a functional viewpoint. If you see it, it could be a very specific HR function or operations function and so on. Because take talent management as an example, right? Now talent management is being touched by AI tools big time. So now if I am guiding an organization or helping an organization to transform themselves with AI technologies and tools, should I call that role as a HR role, or should I call it as a tech consulting role? That's the kind of thing that is there today. So maybe when we say there are many roles in consulting or tech consulting, it is somewhere, the various functional roles are also being morphed as tech roles and presented to people. But definitely there is a need for managers to have a good orientation to new technologies, be able to appreciate the technologies, what kind of use case scenarios are possible with technologies, and then how those use cases can be used smartly for transforming my business, leading to business benefits.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think technology is part of all of our lives actually, and I think as we go along, more and more technology will come in every field, and adapting to technology, irrespective of any functional area, is very important. So I completely agree. I am sure the curriculum also must be getting modified every second, third year in terms of how to adapt more and more in terms of organizing the curriculum in the direction of technology adaptation as well. So I do completely understand that.
In fact, thanks for bringing up that point about the curriculum. I should not miss that point. So it is very important for management institutes to be able to, quickly introduce the current technologies to managers, management graduates, because and help them to appreciate this. And at least I can talk again for my school, TAPMI, which is where we have this, these electives being reviewed and defined continuously on an ongoing basis, and the course structure with the flexibility that is given to the course faculty. We have uh, we have a need and we also do it. That is fine tune the course, very, very quickly to accommodate new trends that are happening in technology. For example, this chat GPT is just maybe a few months into the industry, but I have a term, I have a term coming in Jan. I'm very sure I'll be talking about it in a session uh, about it. So that's the kind of speed with which people have to, adopt technologies. Another interesting technology is low code, no code
Mm-hmm.
technologies, which is uh, creating a lot of disruption in the way applications are developed
Mm.
uh, in the organization. So it is something which we had also very quickly adopted and started talking about it in the various courses wherever it is relevant to be accommodated in. And even we have specific electives for certain technology courses.
Yeah, fantastic. I do understand. I think adaptation is the key for all of us actually. As I think as Gerard Leonard, the futurist says that this decade is going to see more changes than the last 100 years. So adaptation is the key for all of us to stay relevant. Another question which comes to my mind, which I had not thought about it or planned for it, but uh, you talked about a digitization, which is very clearly evident. It is visible to all of us. But on the background, two or three more trends are also trending, the global trends. The second one is decarbonization, which is basically to talk about the environmental, the impact which all of us are creating or contributing to. That's number two. Number three is the energy security. I think the conventional energy are limited. I think there are studies which says that the crude oil and the natural gases may last for another 50 odd years, and the coal may last for another close to about 100 years. Um, so, which means that energy security will is already a crucial aspect for the survival and will continue to draw a lot of attention. So there'll be a lot of investment which is already happening on the renewable energy. So that's the third trend which is trending. And lastly, the population growth. I think the world today is about 7.9 billion people, and it is estimated by 2050 we will have about 9 billion people on this earth. But interestingly, all this population is growth is not happening across the globe. It is actually happening in most part of Africa and some part of Asia, including India. So we might actually see a large scale immigration to rest of the world from these countries. So these are the other three trends which are also happening in the world right now, and I'm sure all of us will be impacted by this. So
Yeah.
at management institutions, do you see that you also need to look at these trends and see what can be done to address some of these challenges of the earth?
Yeah, very true. I think you touched an important point there. So broadly, we can group all those three aspects which you mentioned into something like sustainability, right? And that is where management focus is there. In fact, as an institute, we have a lot of activities around sustainability. Um, we have a very dedicated course as well for sustainability, and uh, the course leads to another kind of a project, which is a must-do project for all the entire batch, wherein they take up some challenge which is faced by some entity in and around our geography. We again focus on the Manipal locality, and the students in a group of about 10 people in a team, they work on these projects and then they give solutions. It's almost like a mini consulting project to that particular entity. And this particular activity sensitizes the budding managers and leaders on the importance of sustainability in a larger sense. Right? So each project, of course, will be specifically focused on one of these sustainable development goals, SDG we call it. So this is one definite trend. Another aspect I wanted to touch upon is when I mentioned technology, I also wanted to broad base it beyond information technology. Maybe I should have emphasized it more clearly. By technology, it also means technologies that help not only in terms of IT, but technologies that help in coming up with solutions which can, achieve all these other objectives which are there for business. Sustainability is a definite thing. We can talk about blockchain, but then we need to ensure that the green side of the story is also taken care, right? And which where people are focused on figuring out green solutions for using blockchain technology. So all this goes kind of hand in hand, and technology also helps in sustainability. So coming up with waste management, AI is used for segregating waste. So we can think of technology enabling sustainability. So in some sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's the broader scheme of things, because technology is beyond IT.
Yeah, I do understand. Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're
Good
rightly.
point you highlighted. In fact, management students should be very sensitive because they are in a decision-making position, and being sensitive to these aspects will help. The society at large.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately we need a sustainable earth to remain. We all will survive only if we sustain the earth in a way which is the right thing to do. And business is something which will happen around it. So sustainability will remain one of the core requirement for all the young people. I think, including us. I think we need to do our bit in terms of creating the earth which is sustainable. I think from that point of view, I was just trying to understand your management's point of view, and I'm sure things will evolve as we go along, because these are the trends which are trending right now, and they will impact all of us actually. I mean, I clearly foresee that all these will impact all of us. So we better act upon these areas to make it better for everyone in the society. Yeah. So going on to the next one. Uh, so MBA, as we know, is important differentiator. There's no doubt about it. But somebody who is already very keen to become an entrepreneur, or who is already an entrepreneur, do you think the MBA degree will further add value to the requirement?
Yeah, an MBA can definitely add value. Again, we can take this question in multiple parts, right? There could be people who are who have no experience but have a great idea, and just after their functional degree, I am using the word functional. It could be a technical degree like an engineering degree or some other specific functional degree. So after that degree, they may want to start something of their own, so start some enterprise of their own, or figure out how to use that particular idea and do something. So that is, it could be as straight as that, to somebody who is already working in an organization but has some great idea and would like to start something of their own, or someone who is doing some business and would like to, identify gaps they would like to fix by doing an MBA program. These are some scenarios which can be there. Now, the first one, which is immediately after undergrad, if after undergrad, there is a possibility you can do an MBA program, but I would tend to believe that it is better to put your idea to test through giving it some time. Maybe the individuals could be better off touching the industry, understanding something relevant to that particular idea, how things are working today, and not to waste time doing some job which is not connected with their idea, but something related, if it is possible. That could be one option, followed by an MBA degree. That could be one. The other option is somebody who is already an entrepreneur and would like to fix the identified gaps. Definitely an MBA degree will help, because in an accelerated mode, they can get this identified gaps fixed. And the other point is about people working in an industry who is already in an industry with some experience, leading to an MBA and then moving to an entrepreneurship role. Right? Now, these two scenarios, there is a trade-off that individuals have to make, because an MBA degree or MBA institute, right, would try to address the broader perspective of equipping students to be able to play various kinds of roles in various organizations, as well as do entrepreneurship of their own. So to that extent, they should be able to accommodate the wider spectrum of things. Now, this will be very helpful for them because, one, they are getting a degree, formal degree, and with that degree, they have an option to even refine their thoughts. Taking to entrepreneurship is a very high risk game. Definitely, there will be some people made for it, so they might pursue, that route eventually. But if in case, at some during the process of, during the course of the program, if the individual has some, different opinion, thoughts, they may want to maybe take a job, understand the particular industry well, and then take off into entrepreneurship. So an MBA degree will definitely help them there, but it comes with a cost, in terms of time as well as money. So they need to be able to put in that. Again, there are other alternatives to this option of a full-time MBA degree. So you have this part-time MBA options. You have dedicated programs for entrepreneurship offered by many premier institutes, and all these kind of things based on specifically what you find a need, to, as I said, the identified gap, perceived gap that you have, you could go and look for a program which can be helpful for that specifically, without losing out on time for your idea to be implemented. So these are some perspectives which individuals can think. And just not to miss out on one other point, today in companies do encourage, these kind of, good companies do not want to lose their people because they have a good idea and they need to leave the company to implement or try out their idea. So many companies encourage doing or implementing their idea from within the organization. Right? There are many avenues. Again, it's another different topic, but so individuals can even look for such options if they are already in an organization, and if the organization supports the idea to be nurtured, and a spin-off can be created by the organization and so on, or at least a business vertical can be created around that idea. So in such situations, the organization might itself sponsor the individual for an MBA program, full-time or part-time. So these are some options which people can consider. But definitely the MBA program will add certain specific professional skills in a very structured and accelerated mode. I mean, that is for sure. So there is value, but then people have to look at all these trade-offs in terms of time and cost while taking the decision. But I have personally had examples I've seen who are leading entrepreneurs, owning large organizations, companies taking up MBA programs and doing it as an executive program, not full time, of course. There are these options available for entrepreneurs.
Right, excellent. I think the recent times, what we are seeing is that there are a lot of institutions who are providing this uh, integrated BBA, MBA kind of programs for the students who are just, graduating from 12th grade. Tell us about this program and how do you rate it? How do you see this impacting, in terms of future choice for young children to take up such a route?
Yeah, I think a very good question. So there are multiple dimensions which we need to look at from here. Right? Now it goes back to the very traditional debate with respect to management education. Should people have experience and then do an MBA degree, or they can do this program just after their undergrad? That is one of the questions which have been debated quite a bit. So, I mean, personally, again, many of the views, or most, I mean, almost all the views are personal views. So, personally, I would position it as that people should at least have some experience in terms of working or at least observing how organizations function. That can definitely add value to a MBA program. Now, having said this, another dimension which is also interesting is sometime back when we talk about a manager in an organization, it used to be a double-digit experience in terms of years, at least to become a manager. So that was the trend, and today we see people reaching the top positions in the maybe late 30s or early 40s. I don't know. It is even maybe I am still dated now. People probably even before they become 30, they accelerate into very senior positions, and many of the individuals start organizational enterprises of their own, and they become the leading business empires. So, with all these perspectives in place, now there are options for people with different aptitude, appetite for risk, and so on. So, the traditional approach would be to do some functional undergrad program and then either work for some time and then go for an MBA program, or immediately after your undergrad program, go to an MBA program. Now, the undergrad program itself has to be chosen very carefully, because at the time of entering the undergrad program, if the individual is very clear as to what they want to do in life, probably they can make some good choices rather than spend a few years, 3 to 4 years in an undergrad program, and finally realizing that I'm going to do management. Rather than that, if they have some idea about this much earlier, they could choose programs at the undergrad level itself, such a way that it leads to an MBA program or management career. I would not say MBA. I would say it as management career option. So if this choice is made, it is definitely useful for everyone, because the student also is very focused. The institutes are happy because the student has made a choice, and the institutes offering such programs can focus on the individual to develop skills which are needed for them to be leading the management profession. Now, for this today, there are many trends that have come in. So, there is this integrated program in management, which many of the top schools are having, including TAPMI. And then we also have, which is, I mean, I'll talk about both in hand. One is the integrated program in management. And there is another option, which is the typical BBA program, which has been offered by many institutes. Of course, TAPMI has a very unique offering called the BBA Honors Program, which is launched last year. and with a very unique positioning. I will talk about it in a short while from now. Talking about the integrated program in management, it is something like you work at the grade 12 level, you decide to choose a career in management. So you choose an integrated program in management, wherein you put in 5 years of your education and after your grade 12. And then at the end of 3 years, you have an option to take a degree and, of course, continue in an MBA program in the same premier institute. So this is the one career route which is available for grade 12 students. So people who are very clear about their objectives can choose this option. Then there is another interesting option, which is the BBA option, which I talked about, which is after your BBA program, maybe it has a little bit edge over any other conventional functional undergrad program, because BBA program is more closer to management studies, right? Or it is management. It is about business administration. So you are basically equipping yourself during the undergrad program for management roles. That's one option which has been there for a while. And maybe I would spend more time talking about the BBA Honors program, which is launched by TAPMI, which is somewhat different from IPM as well as the conventional BBA, because unlike the conventional, the other two programs where MBA seems to be a must, the BBA Honors program thinks very differently. It is equipping the participants of the program to get into the industry immediately after the BBA Honors program and be able to grow their career in the 20s, such that by the time they touch 30, they are already leading large enterprises of their own, or large enterprise business units within an organization, and so on. So they can anticipate a very accelerated career progression with this kind of a BBA Honors program. That is the objective of the program. The course and the content has been designed with this objective in mind, and that differentiates, and it's I would put it as a very premier career option or education option leading to a management career for grade 12 students, if they are very clear in their objectives. So this is something which is there. So these kind of interesting options are existing today for students, because when we sit for management, MBA program interviews, we sometimes understand from students that they had something in mind that they would like to do an MBA program eventually. When we ask this question, why do you want to do this? Sometimes some of them say that they had this inkling to do management kind of role eventually, and since either they didn't know of an option to do something like different, or they were driven by the intuition that doing a conventional undergrad program is a better option. So this has been the pattern, but maybe currently grade 12 students can do some thinking in terms of all these dimensions and make an informed choice, because management education is opening up various kinds of education options. So I think I've addressed your...
Yeah. Just to understand a little more about this BBA Honors. So it's a typical 4-year program like any other program, or how it is structured?
Yeah, it is a 4-year program with an option to take a degree at the end of 3 years. And if the student decides to get into a MBA program, because there could be some students who may be particular that I would like to do an MBA program, which is, again, it's an individual choice, right? Because there can be a preference to take an MBA degree and benefit from that, whatever options we talked about otherwise, right? So that can be one option. So students do have this option. But the 4th-year program is a very dedicated program with multiple specific tracks. So there are people who can take up entrepreneurship as a specific track, research as a specific track, and management as a specific track. So the this particular program, and the course structure even for the first 3 years is very carefully designed such that it meets those core skills which are needed to be able to launch people into an accelerated career path in the early 20s without any other management education immediately after this program.
I think the intent is quite bold, I must say, because I'm sure your institution must have done a lot of research and work on this to design something which we are claiming that people who can take up this, who have the attitude, obviously, to adapt to this particular course, can get into a fast track with respect to their career, which is quite good. And obviously, I'll be sharing all the links on the show notes so that people can explore at their ease. Yeah, so
yeah, more details are available in our website and other
yeah,
media which we communicate. But I agree that it is a bold decision, and in fact, a lot of bandwidth has been spent by the senior faculty members, director, and senior management of our Mahe in this particular program to create it the way it is being offered. And to make such a claim, definitely we have done all the groundwork, but definitely the results will have to speak for itself. We can only claim, but today, because the first batch is just started, and we will have to wait and prove whatever we claim by actual results. So I think time
fantastic.
will talk for itself.
And this course is available at both of your campuses, or it is only specifically at one campus?
Yeah, the BBA Honors Program is available in Bangalore campus.
Okay, right
In
now
our
only
own,
in the Bangalore.
yeah, in Bangalore we have our own Mahe campus at large with various other programs as well. Along with that, we have TAPMI Bangalore branch in which this particular program is offered, BBA Honors Program.
Okay. Okay, great. I think we have covered most of the questions what we thought of trying to understand from you to really get in-depth knowledge about what is happening latest on the management studies. I will share all the links of your institution and the different courses so that the people who want to explore more about the courses, they can actually go through that. And obviously, they can always Google and search about your course as well on directly. And yeah, so thank you, Professor, for giving your time today to talk to our viewers and listeners today and explain everything about the management studies. And obviously, the BBA honors is something a very exciting opportunity for young people who are wanting to take up a course in management area. As you rightly mentioned, I think people with the right kind of attitude, aptitude only should be trying, not that the intention should be that I mean, every individual is different, I think. So
Yes.
we are all unique. So if you are cut out for management studies, please do explore this option. And if you're not clear about what is your core strength area, then I can help you. You can reach out to me. I can help you with my guidance to understand what should be the area of your focus for your future. With those words, thank you, Professor, for joining us today for this podcast. And I'm sure a lot of young children and their parents will get a lot of insight from this podcast episode and will help in designing their future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. It was a pleasure speaking with you and you touching upon some interesting dimensions. In fact, I just want to conclude with a note that there is enough opportunity for people who are reasonably talented and hardworking and committed. So it is just that we need to find the right kind of role where our strengths fit best. So it is just that people have to choose the right option, and then some people find it the first attempt, and some people try out some options and then eventually reach there. So eh, for good, reasonably talented, committed people, there is enough opportunities in this world. So wishing all the listeners all the very best. And thank you once again, Dr. Mishra.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.